Hey folks, welcome to the channel, and this is going to be another video of the never-ending quest of searching for the perfect survival knife. That is the iconic tool of the prepper, of the survivalist, his knife. The one tool no survivalist will ever want to be without. Well, which one is the best? Which one is the perfect survival knife? Man, that is a little bit hard to answer, right? Now, you have great candidates. You have knives that do very, very well on a bunch of different things. Now, you have to take into account what kind of requirements you have, what geographic location you happen to find yourself in. If you're in the Amazon jungle or just living close to that sort of vegetation, probably something machete-like will do nicely for you. If you're looking for something more of a very lightweight tool, for a lot of people, the perfect survival knife is going to be something like a Mora, right? If you're more of the combat-y tactical type, maybe one of the great options there is the Glock knife. Mostly a fighting blade, but I mean, as Glock themselves say, it's a field survival knife too, besides being a bayonet, right? If you go for the more classic approach of survivalism in terms of a perfect blade, well, there's a lot of these. This is the one I designed for Aitor myself. Aitor Fairfell, about 6, 7, 8-inch blade, full tang, hopefully a quality steel. In this case, it's N60 steel, which is great, very tough, very resistant to corrosion as well, but holds an edge nicely, much better than your typical carbon steel anyway. But there's also going to be a price difference here. Same thing for the Falk-Nevens of the world, or some of the Buzzy knives, right? All of those knives that have a little bit of a nicer steel to it, probably going to come along with a price accordingly. You're also often paying a lot for marketing, and that's something I actually take a lot of pride in, which is the Aitor Fairfell, I think, is still going for under $200. And man, in this size of a blade, I challenge anyone to find anything that is as tough as this is while having the edge retention that they achieved with this N680 steel. So yeah, but going back to the topic, there's also a matter of what is it exactly that you need besides looking for an overall great survival knife? How much can you afford? What kind of budget are you looking at? That's something that I often look at very seriously, because I get it that for a lot of people, budget, it is a thing. You don't have hundreds of dollars, or maybe you have different bags, different kits. You have several family members. Are you going to be buying a knife for each family member when it comes to $1,000 knives, which they are out there, or $600 or even $300 knives that are made out of 1095, which is, man, it is a pretty basic, affordable steel. But marketing, that has to be paid for. The advertising, the promotion, those are things that need to come into the equation. And maybe you find alternatives that do things better for you without breaking the bank. That's where knives like these come in. That's where knives like the Mora, what is it, $8, $10 for a Mora? It's a great knife. I mean, it's no sword, it's not a heavy chopper, it's not even a short machete, but damn, it will cut, and it will cut very well. And it's pretty pointy. It is a great survival tool. One of my favorite overall knives, especially for the price, the Glock knife. I mean, I've done videos about this. It is definitely more towards the defensive blade, more of the combat type blade, but you can put a decent edge in it. It is, I pay like $20 for it. It comes with a great sheath. It is not going to hold an edge very well. I mean, not even close to that. But, if you know how to sharpen it and you're not using it constantly for cutting tasks, maybe it's not something that really matters all that much to you. It's going to be primed very nicely, very well, because of the heat treatment. It's rather on the low end in terms of hardness, but it will do. Yet, when it comes to survival knives, I'm always of the idea of bigger is better. There is a point in which it becomes too big, too heavy, and just cumbersome to carry around. So maybe going out on a hike, you're not going to bring along a short machete. if I have the option of going with a vehicle and I have to look at an affordable knife that I want to keep around, maybe this does very well. Now, when it comes to large knives, you have some that kind of pretend to be a machete but aren't quite that. I think that one of the best examples and a very successful knife for the company has been the SE Junglas. Now they have a short version, which I think makes a lot more sense. This is, Junglas, but this is not really a machete. The grip is nice. This is just too thick. And $10.95 at this hardness, it will not do what a machete can do. At $15 versus what? $250, $300? I didn't even know how much they cost these days. But this will break way before your Tramontina does. Now, this can be used for prying in ways that you just cannot do with this thing. This is super flexible. This is not so much. You can pry. With this one, it's going to be bending a lot more. So the rigidity, yeah. Now, when it comes to maybe chopping, if you're going to be batoning, chopping on heavy hardwood, yeah, this is probably going to do better. I mean, I'm sure it will do better. This will do better with softer vegetation. I mean, machetes, that's what they're designed for. But if I have to chop down a rather, like a wrist-thick branch, there's not going to be a huge difference. In fact, it's going to be a lot lighter and faster, and I'm going to be getting a lot less tired than swinging this beast. This is not machete thickness. There's a big difference, as you can plainly see. And of course, this comes with a fantastic sheath. It's a lot more expensive. Now, keep in mind, both these are pretty basic carbon steels. This is $10.95, which achieves greater hardness when heat treated properly. That's going to be what is it? Tramontina is this what, $10.55? $10.65, something on the lower carbon end, but that gives it a lot more toughness. This is a this is a tool intended for chopping, and chop it will do, and it will not break. You can chop like a lunatic. These things are designed to be used in jungles, and it's not as if you're buying this in Walmart somewhere in the United States where you'll never use it. Someone that buys this in Brazil, you're going to be swinging that thing a lot. Even in my neck of the woods, my Tramontina, this is no exhibition blade. This has been used a lot. And as you see, still here, I made a different handle for it, making it a little bit bigger for my hand. But man, these things take a beating and keep on going. I've used this thing for over 20 years, I think, at this point. It is still here. It rusts, gets dirty. Sure, I modified it for my own purposes, but still working. Basic carbon steel, heat treated so as to have a little bit more flexibility. No, it hasn't got the super edge retention of a fancy steel, but it does work. What is it that you want in a survival knife? Well, cutting in general, chopping a little bit more. I have to pry, not so great. I have to dig. Well, this one will dig quite nicely. It's pretty wide. So it's going to be doing all of those things nicely. Bigger usually is better because it gives you more power when chopping. It gives you more reach. Even when damn cooking at times, if you have a fire, if you're cooking with fire, which a lot of people have never done in their lives, but trust me, if you're even doing a barbecue in a more traditional way, you need something to have a little bit more reach. So for all of those things, even like using it as a spatula for flipping burgers or a piece of meat, you can do that a lot better with this thing. Now, there's the reality that with a $15 knife, and these cost, like in Brazil, I think they go for $5, definitely less than $10. So they are tools, just in the same way as these are tools in their own country, and the Hultafords and so on. These in Brazil are definitely tools. You will also have to keep in mind your location, your potential uses for it. If you're someone that needs something more of a tropical climate knife because you live in that kind of place, by all means. Tropical, no question. Your best survival knife is going to be a short machete. You are someone that lives more in the wooded areas and you always have a hatchet or axe with you and you just need a solid cutting tool, maybe this is the best survival knife for you. You're someone that looks at more of a urban environment, so you're more concerned about the possibility of using your knife as a weapon, but you don't want to have a huge ass knife. Glock knife, baby. This thing will cut, will pry, and yeah, you will be able to use this very effectively for fighting, for defending yourself. It's specifically designed for that thing. It's not going to be holding an edge very nicely. It's not going to be chopping or going through vegetation or chopping little logs or anything like the machete will. But man, it is a lot more convenient. It's a lot smaller as well. So you need to somewhat, even though we're looking for the perfect survival knife, you have to narrow things down depending on your location, your potential needs, what you think you're likely to end up using that knife for, and what budget you're looking at. Endless, budget. The world is your oyster. You have a bunch of different tools. Can you carry your bushwhacker mistress? Is that something you can carry along? Well, nope. Okay, then maybe you have to look for something smaller, something like my Aitor knife over there, the one I was showing you before. Something that still can be in your belt and not bother until you actually need it. And when you need it, yeah, it will get the job done, right? But with those limitations, it's not the same length. It's not the same mechanics that are involved in a longer blade. Either this one or your cold steel. These are great machetes. These are and they are designed and work as machetes. The longer ones, and this one more of the shorter one. This is for me one of the best survival knives you can have. And again, especially for the money, or even without taking into account the money, this is a great survival knife in general. It is pointy, so great for self-defense. It will cut, holds an edge well enough. No super fancy steel. I like the grip a lot. This is a lot more comfortable than this one. But these are no longer in that under $20 price range. These even came with a sheath. Now, yeah, nothing fancy, but I mean, still a sheath. Your Tramontina? No. These are just thrown one on top of the other. You need to make a sheath for this thing. Now, positives. Price, super affordable. Blade that will take a beating and just keep on going. You will bend this thing out of shape before you crack it because it's intended to be used as a tool. Even if you're not someone working on a sugarcane field, you can take advantage of a tool that you can chop all day long without worrying that it will just catastrophically fail and crack on you. Those are things that are not a concern when you have a machete. It will rust. It's your basic 1055, 1065 carbon steel on the lower hardness level. It's not even sharp. It's only sharp around here. No tip to speak of. This is like 1 millimeter thick there in the edge. It's not intended to be a piercing tool. That's why I modified my old Tramontina in such a way so as to have that nice penetrating tip, and this will, it will penetrate very well because of that reach, because of the weight on the machete itself. Yeah, good penetration. So a little modification you can do on your own so as to make it even better. A little bit of a clip point there, or just work that a little bit with a grinder. Be careful not to overheat it, so wet it constantly. Keep it as low as you can in terms of temperature. A little bit of file work to get the edge. I would even maybe work it down here so as to have an edge going down all the way. Why waste when it's basically like an inch of blade somewhere they can actually use it? The handle for me is a tad small, right? This Grama 200, for example, this has a nicer handle. This just has more reels. I even have a little bit there. My hands are glove size large, so not a huge bear paw, but still large hands, and this fits me like a glove. This is perfect for me. This is a tad too small. I'm just missing like a centimeter there would be nice. I mean, I could modify this somewhat like I did with my other one and get a little bit more room there, but I don't know if it's even worth it. It's not as if I'm going to be using this thing a whole lot. It's going to be more of a project. It's not all that terrible in terms of the wood here. Maybe a millimeter of a little bit of a Sharpie edge, but man, it is useful as it is right now. The only thing would be having a decent edge. Guys, that's basically what I have here in terms of a very affordable, great option in terms of a big potential survival knife on the lighter but longish format. For anyone that wants to learn more about survival and preparedness, strongly recommending Street Survival Skills, where I share a bunch of information, especially on things like using these tools for self-defense and a bunch of other stuff, as well as surviving the economic collapse. Guys, that's going to be all for now. See you in our next video. Take care.